Ambassador Min Jun stood before the Galactic Council with his hands clasped behind his back. The enormous chamber stretched above him like a cathedral made of light and metal. Representatives from 47 species watched him from their elevated seats. Some had multiple eyes, others had tentacles or wings. A few looked almost human, but not quite. Min Jun had delivered his species' request 3 times now. Each time, the response was the same: laughter. The Zelthron ambassador clicked his mandibles together in amusement. His translator converted the sound into words. The humans wish to expand their military? How delightful! Tell us, Ambassador Min Jun, which of your colorful myths shall defend you? Perhaps the dragons, or the sea monsters? More laughter rippled through the chamber. Min Jun kept his face calm. We simply request the right to develop defensive capabilities, Min Jun said. His voice carried clearly through the space. As is permitted under galactic law for all sovereign species. The Vraxi representative, a being of flowing energy contained in a crystalline form, pulsed with light. Defensive capabilities? You humans have been part of the Council for 300 years. In that time, you have shown no military strength. You build gardens, you write poetry, you play music. We trade, added the Keltharn ambassador, her scales shimmering blue. You are merchants and diplomats. Very good ones, we admit. But warriors? She made a sound like wind through reeds. It was laughter. Min Jun had heard this before. Humanity had entered the galactic stage peacefully. Earth had no warships when the Council found them. Humans had offered friendship, technology, and culture. They had been good neighbors. Perhaps too good. I must review your military history again, said Archon Vel, the Council's chief historian. He was a Torgathi, tall and thin, with skin like polished stone. Humans claim great battles in their past. Knights and samurai, Spartans and Vikings, such dramatic names. He pulled up holographic images. Ancient earth paintings appeared in the air. Men with swords, ships with cannons, soldiers in trenches. These are your legends? Vel's voice dripped with condescension. Primitive weapons, small conflicts. You fought each other over patches of dirt on a single world. And you think this qualifies you to build a military in the age of plasma cannons and quantum shields? Our history is documented, Min Jun said quietly. Not legend. Fact. Oh, we know they are facts, Vel replied. That is what makes them so amusing. You killed each other with metal tubes that threw small projectiles. You flew in machines that barely escaped your gravity well. You thought these things made you powerful. The council chamber filled with the sounds of various species expressing amusement. Some chirped, some rumbled, some simply laughed in ways that sounded almost human. Min Jun felt the heat of shame trying to rise in his chest. He pushed it down. 300 years ago, his ancestors had been ashamed of humanity's violent past. They had hidden it, minimized it, explained it away as growing pains. Earth had presented itself as evolved beyond such things. It had been easier that way. The galaxy already had warriors. The Keltharn were famous for their fleet strength. The Bracken were legendary soldiers. The Torgathi had weapons that could crack planets. Humanity had chosen a different path, or seemed to. We acknowledge our past, Min Jun said. We simply ask that. Request denied, interrupted Council Chairwoman Selrix. She was Avonian, bird-like and elegant. Humanity has no demonstrated military capability, no warrior culture, no need for weapons. You excel at other things. Be content with that. Min Jun bowed his head. Then I must ask one final question. Speak, Selrix said. If our legends are so primitive, so laughable, why do they make you so uncomfortable? The chamber went quiet. Uncomfortable? Vel leaned forward. We are not uncomfortable. We are amused. Yet you deny us what is legally ours to request, Min Jun replied. You mock what you claim to see as harmless. If human military history is truly so backward and weak, why not let us build our small, inadequate defenses? What threat could we possibly pose? Selrix's feathers ruffled. This council makes decisions for the good of all species. We see no reason for humanity to militarize. That is final. Minjun straightened. Then I hope the council's other military powers are as strong as they believe they are. Is that a threat? The Bracken general rumbled. He was massive, covered in armor-like hide. No, Minjun said softly. It is a hope. Because humanity's legends exist for a reason, council members. We did not create stories of war and warriors because we are naive. We created them because we survived them. We lived them. We learned from them. Dismissed, Ambassador, Selrix said coldly. Minjun bowed and turned to leave. As he walked down the long corridor toward the exit, he heard the laughter resume behind him. They thought him defeated. They thought humanity weak. That was fine. As Minjun reached his private shuttle, his personal communicator chimed. It was a message from Earth. Just 3 words in Korean, sent on an encrypted channel only he could read. Shadows are moving. Minjun looked up at the stars beyond his viewport. Somewhere out there, at the edge of the galaxy, something had appeared on long-range sensors. Something the Council's automated systems had flagged, but not yet investigated. Something was coming, and when it arrived, the Council would learn what humanity had known for 3 centuries of careful, patient, peaceful existence, that the best warriors are the ones nobody sees coming. The alert came 3 days after Minjun's return from the Council chambers. Every species in the galaxy received the same message at the same moment. It appeared on every screen, every communication device, every holographic display across 47 civilizations. A single image, a wall of ships so vast it blotted out the stars behind it. Below the image were words in every known language. We consume, we grow, we continue. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session within the hour. What are we looking at? Chairwoman Selrix demanded. Her feathers were flat against her body, a sign of fear among her kind. Archon Vel worked frantically at his console. The automated defense network at Sector 7 has stopped responding, so has the colony at Praxis Minor. And the mining station at Kelthos. Stopped responding? The Bracken general stood, his massive frame tense. You mean destroyed? I mean they are gone, Vel said, his stone-like face somehow managing to look pale. No debris, no wreckage, no signals, just nothing. The holographic display in the center of the chamber shifted. It showed real-time tracking data from dozens of observation posts along the galaxy's outer rim. Red dots multiplied across the screen like a disease spreading across skin. Each red dot was a ship, and there were thousands of them. They are called the Devourers, said Minjun quietly. Every eye in the chamber turned to him. We found references to them in old council archives, files marked as myth, stories from civilizations that no longer exist. How do you know this? Selrix asked. Because Earth takes history seriously, Minjun replied. Even other people's history, especially their warnings. Vel pulled up the files Minjun referenced. His voice shook as he read. The Devourers are a hive intelligence. They strip worlds of all biological and technological resources. They have consumed 47 civilizations across 3 galaxies. Every species that encountered them has been destroyed or assimilated. This is impossible, the Zelthron ambassador said. Our combined fleets are the most powerful in known space. We have weapons that can destroy stars. Then use them, Minjun said simply. The Council did. The first battle of the Outer Rim lasted 6 hours. The Galactic Defense Fleet sent 200 warships to meet the Devourers at the edge of colonized space. These were ships built by the greatest military minds of 40 species. Vessels with shields that could withstand supernova heat. weapons powered by captured black holes. Min Jun watched the battle from the observation deck of the Council station. Other ambassadors stood with him, silent as the screens showed the engagement. The Keltharn dreadnoughts fired first. Their plasma cannons could melt through a moon. The energy blasts hit the Devourer ships and scattered across adaptive shielding that rippled like living tissue. The Bracken deployed their kinetic bombardment platforms, weapons that threw asteroids at near-light speed. The Devourer's ships simply opened like flowers, letting the projectiles pass through empty space, then closed again and continued advancing. The Torgathi used their quantum disruptors, technology that could tear apart atomic bonds. The Devourers absorbed the energy and grew larger. After 6 hours, 173 Council ships were gone. The Devourers had lost 12 vessels, and they kept coming. "We need to evacuate," the Vraxi ambassador said, his crystalline form flickering with panic. "Calculate which systems we can save. Abandon the rest." "Abandon?" Selrix's voice was sharp. "We are the Galactic Council. We have stood for 10,000 years. And we will fall in weeks if we do not act," Vel said. He pulled up tactical projections. "At their current speed, the Devourers will reach the core systems in 40 days. Our fleets cannot stop them. Every battle we fight costs us ships while they lose almost nothing." The chamber erupted in arguing voices. Some called for retreat. Others demanded more aggressive action. A few simply sat in stunned silence. Min Jun activated his communicator. "Open channel to Earth system." The chamber fell quiet. "Ambassador," Selrix said carefully, "what are you doing?" "Calling home," Min Jun replied. The channel connected. But instead of responding, Earth went silent. Every human ship in Council space received the same order simultaneously. "Return to Sol system immediately. All human colonies, outposts, and stations began evacuation procedures." "What is this?" The Bracken general stepped toward Min Jun. "We need every ship, every soldier. Your people are retreating?" "My people are responding," Min Jun said. "To what?" Selrix demanded. "To the fact that this council has spent 300 years telling humanity we are not warriors, that our military history is a joke, that we have no place in galactic defense." Min Jun's voice was calm, but something in it made the other ambassadors step back. "You made your position very clear, so we are following it." "This is not the time for grudges," Vel said. "The galaxy is dying." "Then perhaps," Min Jun said quietly, "the galaxy should have listened when humanity offered to help defend it." For 3 days, the Council sent messages to Earth. All went unanswered. The Devourers advanced. 7 more systems went dark. The Council's second defensive fleet engaged the enemy and lost half its ships before retreating. Panic spread. Species began preparing their own evacuation plans. Some talked openly of fleeing the galaxy entirely. On the 4th day, Min Jun received a message on his encrypted channel. This one was longer than the last. He read it 3 times, then walked calmly to the council chamber where the emergency session continued day and night. "Chairwoman," he said from the entrance, "Earth has sent a response." Every voice fell silent. "What do they say?" Selrix asked. "Will they help?" Min Jun looked at each council member in turn. The same beings who had laughed at humanity's legends, who had mocked Earth's warrior past, who had denied his people the right to openly prepare for exactly this moment. "They say," Min Jun replied, "that humanity's legends are about to become your reality." The Council's 3rd Defense Fleet met the Devourers at the Kessian Nebula. It was meant to be a last stand, a place to buy time for the evacuation of 12 nearby systems. 89 warships from 6 species took up defensive positions among the gas clouds and asteroid fields. The Devourers came at them like a living wave. 300 enemy vessels, each one bloated with the resources of consumed worlds. The battle began poorly. Within minutes, the Council forces were taking heavy losses. The Devourers had adapted to every tactic, every weapon type. They fought like they had seen it all before. Because they had. Across 3 galaxies and 47 dead civilizations, they had learned every form of warfare the universe had shown them. Then, space itself twisted. Admiral Ji-woo stood on the bridge of the HSNS Incheon and watched her tactical display light up with friendly signatures. Behind her ship, reality bent as hundreds of vessels emerged from quantum stealth fields that should not have existed. "All ships," she said calmly, "begin Operation Midway." Throughout the Kessian Nebula, human warships appeared. They came from every direction, materializing from nowhere like ghosts becoming solid. Each ship bore a name from Earth's military history: HSNS Seoul, HSNS Stalingrad, HSNS Thermopylae, HSNS Agincourt. The Council ships stopped firing, stunned by the sudden appearance of reinforcements they didn't know existed. "This is Admiral Ji-woo of the Human Defense Fleet to all Council forces. Disengage and fall back to safe distance. We are taking command of this engagement." On the Council flagship, the Bracken general stared at his screen in disbelief. "There are over 200 human ships. Where did they come from? Humans don't have a military fleet." "Apparently," his tactical officer said quietly, "they do." The Devourers adapted quickly. They shifted their formation to engage the new threat. Their ships moved with practiced efficiency, the same strategy that had destroyed countless fleets before. Then the humans did something unexpected. They ran away. The human fleet broke apart, each ship fleeing in a different direction. It looked like panic, like amateur soldiers realizing they were outmatched. The Devourers pursued. Their tactical programming recognized fear. They split their forces to chase down the retreating humans, moving deeper into the nebula. "What are they doing?" Selrix watched from the Council station, her voice filled with confusion. "They appeared so dramatically, and now they flee?" Minjun watched the same display with a small smile. "They are not fleeing, Chairwoman. They are leading." The first Devourer ship realized the trap when it passed between 2 asteroids. Both asteroids exploded, but not randomly. Hundreds of pre-placed charges detonated in sequence, creating a focused shockwave that crushed the vessel's adaptive shielding through pure kinetic force. 16 more Devourer ships died the same way within seconds. The humans had mined the entire nebula while the Council fleet had been fighting. "Ambush tactics," Vel whispered. "They prepared the battlefield." The Devourers tried to regroup, but the human ships were no longer running. They came at the enemy from new angles, using the nebula's gas clouds to hide their approach. Their weapons were different from Council technology, simpler, more direct. Railguns that threw solid metal at hypersonic speeds, nuclear missiles with yields calculated not for maximum destruction, but for optimal electromagnetic pulse effect. Laser batteries designed to blind sensors rather than penetrate hulls. Every human tactic focused on disrupting the Devourers' coordination rather than destroying individual ships. "They fight like savages," the Zelthron ambassador said, but there was no mockery in his voice now, only awe. "They fight like survivors," Minjun corrected. "Humanity spent 10,000 years fighting on a single world. We learned to win with less, to use everything as a weapon, to make the battlefield itself our ally." Admiral Ji-woo watched as Devourer ships struggled to adapt. Their technology was superior, but it required coordination, constant communication between vessels, shared processing of tactical data. The humans were jamming everything: old-fashioned radio interference, chaff clouds that scattered sensors. Even simple bright lights flashed in patterns designed to confuse optical tracking. "Focus fire on target cluster 7, Ji-woo ordered. "Beijing, launch your payload. Hanoi, cover their approach. Kyoto, feint toward cluster 9. 40 human ships coordinated in real time using encrypted quantum communications the Devourers couldn't intercept. They moved like a school of fish, each vessel an independent unit that somehow flowed together as one. The HSNS Beijing broke from the formation and charged at a cluster of devourer ships. It looked suicidal. The enemy vessels converged on it, preparing to tear it apart. Then Beijing detonated. Not from enemy fire. The crew had evacuated into escape pods seconds before. The entire ship was a missile, packed with antimatter charges and set on a collision course. The explosion took out 14 devourer vessels. They sacrificed a dreadnought, the Bracken general said, just destroyed their own ship as a weapon. The Beijing was 300 years old, Min Jun said softly, a relic from humanity's early space age. We kept it in service for exactly this purpose. More human ships pressed the attack. They used tactics the Council considered dishonorable, feints and tricks, false retreats that led to ambushes, sacrificial attacks that seemed wasteful until the enemy realized each sacrifice achieved a specific goal. The HSNS Waterloo released thousands of small drones. The Devourers ignored them, focusing on the larger ships. The drones were simple, barely more than engines and explosives. But they coordinated, swarming damaged Devourer vessels and detonating in sequence to collapse already weakened shields. The HSNS Marathon simply rammed an enemy command ship at relativistic speed. The collision destroyed both vessels and disrupted the Devourer's local network. Admiral Jiwoo watched the tactical display with calm eyes. Status report. Enemy force reduced by 40%, her tactical officer replied. Our losses are 23 ships, most through intentional sacrifice. The Devourers are attempting to withdraw. Don't let them, Jiwoo said. If even one ship escapes with tactical data on our capabilities, they will adapt. Press the attack. Show them what human legends really mean. The human fleet descended on the retreating Devourers like wolves on wounded prey. They showed no mercy because they knew the enemy would show none. They had studied the records of the 47 dead civilizations. They knew what happened when you gave the Devourers time to adapt. When the battle ended, not a single Devourer ship remained. The Council forces watched in silence as the human fleet regrouped. These ships that should not exist. This military that humanity had supposedly never built. Admiral Jiwoo opened a channel to the Council flagship. Her face appeared on their screens. She was younger than expected, with sharp eyes and a calm expression. This is Admiral Jiwoo. The immediate threat has been neutralized. More Devourer forces are coming. I suggest the Council prepare for a long war. Humanity will lead the defense. Lead. Selrix found her voice. Admiral, we did not authorize... With respect, Chairwoman, Jiwoo interrupted. You spent 300 years telling us we were not warriors, that our military history was a joke. We allowed you to believe that because it was convenient for everyone. You got peaceful neighbors. We got time to prepare for the day when being peaceful was no longer enough. She leaned forward slightly. That day has come. The war changed after the Kessian Nebula. Admiral Jiwoo took command of all galactic defense forces, and the Council members who had once laughed at humanity now followed her orders without question. In the battle room of the Council station, Jiwoo stood before a massive holographic display showing the entire defensive front. Representatives from each Council species watched as she explained her strategy. The Devourers expect conventional warfare, Jiwoo said, pointing to the advancing enemy fleet. They have encountered 47 civilizations. All of them fought the same way. Build bigger ships, make stronger weapons, face the enemy head-on. That is how honorable species fight, the Bracken general said, though his tone was respectful now, not challenging. And that is why 47 civilizations are dead, Jiwoo replied. She zoomed in on a section of the display. Humanity learned a long time ago that honor gets you killed, survival gets you tomorrow. She began issuing orders. Council species found themselves learning tactics they had never considered. The Keltharn, famous for their powerful fleet formations, were taught to scatter and reform unpredictably. The Torgathi, who always fought in organized squadrons, learned to embrace chaos. "This is not how we train," a Keltharn admiral protested. "Our strength is in our coordination. And the Devourers know that," Jiwoo said. "They have fought coordinated fleets before. They adapted to it. So we will fight uncoordinated, each ship a separate unit with its own goals, but all working toward the same objective." At the Belthro system, the Devourers encountered their first real surprise. A human commander named Captain Su Jin led a fleet of mixed council species against a superior enemy force. Instead of meeting them in open space, she retreated to the system's asteroid belt. The Devourers pursued, confident in their advantage. Then Su Jin's fleet stopped running, but they didn't attack. They just waited. The Devourer ships moved into the asteroid field, weapons ready. Nothing happened. Minutes passed. The enemy formation tightened, preparing for the ambush they expected. That's when every ship in Su Jin's fleet turned on full power and accelerated outward, fleeing the asteroid belt at maximum speed. The Devourers didn't understand until the asteroid started exploding. Su Jin had spent 3 days mining the entire field, not with military explosives, but with simple industrial charges used for asteroid mining. Cheap, abundant, and deadly when used correctly. The chain reaction tore through the enemy formation, destroying shields through sustained pressure rather than single massive strikes. "We told them we were miners," Su Jin reported to Jiwoo afterward. "For 300 years, the Council saw us mining asteroids and thought it was just commerce. We were teaching ourselves how to weaponize every rock in space." The Devourers began to adapt. They became more cautious. They scanned for traps. They varied their approaches. So humanity taught the Council species to fight dirty in new ways. At the Thresh system, a Torgathi commander used one of humanity's oldest naval tactics. He positioned his entire fleet behind a moon and powered down completely. No emissions, no signals, dead silent. When the Devourer scouts reported the system empty, the main fleet entered. Only then did the Torgathi power up and strike from an unexpected angle. The Devourer's sensors had been programmed to look for active ships, not cold metal hiding in a moon's shadow. "This is the tactic of cowards," the Torgathi commander said after the victory, though his voice held grudging respect. "Yes," Jiwoo agreed. "And it works. In war, the only dishonor is losing." The Council species began to understand something they had missed for 3 centuries. Human history was not full of war because humans were primitive. It was full of war because humans were survivors. Earth had been a harsh teacher, and humanity had learned every lesson. On the Council station, Archon Vel researched human military history with new eyes. What he had once dismissed as primitive now revealed itself as sophisticated. "They fought each other for 10,000 years, he reported to the Council. Not because they were savage, but because they had no other enemies. So they became very, very good at fighting themselves." He pulled up historical records. "The humans studied every species in the Council. For 300 years, while we thought they were peaceful traders, they were learning how each of us fights. They analyzed our tactics, our weapons, our cultural approaches to warfare." "Why?" Selrix asked. "If they planned to remain peaceful?" "Because peace only lasts as long as everyone wants peace," Minjun said from his seat. "Humanity hoped we would never need to fight. But we prepared anyway, because hope is not a strategy." The war continued. Weeks became months. The Devourers threw more ships at the defensive lines, but the losses remained heavy on both sides. Jiwoo rotated commanders, sharing human tactical knowledge across all species. A Vraxi energy being learned to coordinate guerrilla strikes. A Zelthron hive mind mastered the art of the feint. A Bracken siege battalion discovered the power of strategic retreat. You are teaching us to think like humans, the Bracken general said one day. No, Jiwoo corrected. I am teaching you to think like survivors. Humans are not special because we are clever or strong. We are special because we spent 10,000 years trying to kill each other and learning from our mistakes. She pulled up a star chart showing the defensive lines. They had pushed the Devourers back to the outer rim again, reclaimed lost systems, saved billions of lives. Every species in the Council is older than humanity, Jiwoo continued. You had space travel while we were still hitting rocks together. You mastered the galaxy while we were learning to farm, but you know what you didn't have? She looked at each council member in turn. Competitors. Most of you evolved as the apex predator on your worlds. When you reached space, you found other species, but you also found plenty of room, enough resources for everyone. So you built the council. You created peace through abundance. Jiwoo's expression hardened. Humanity grew up on a crowded world. We fought over every river, every forest, every patch of farmland. We learned to win when resources were scarce, when the enemy was as smart as us, when the only advantage was thinking one step further ahead. And that makes you better warriors? Selrix asked. No, Jiwoo said. It makes us better survivors. And right now, that is what the galaxy needs. The Devourers adapted again. They started using new tactics, trying to counter the humans' unpredictable strategies. They spread out their formations. They prepared for ambushes. They became more cautious, which was exactly what Jiwoo wanted. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, the enemy is slowing their advance. They are taking time to scout each system thoroughly before entering. Jiwoo smiled. Good. Fear makes you careful. Careful makes you slow, and slow gives us time to prepare for the final battle. Final battle? Vel leaned forward. What do you mean? The Devourers operate through a central hive mind, Jiwoo explained. Destroy that, and the entire swarm collapses. I have been studying their communications patterns for weeks. I know where it is. She pointed to the star map. Deep in Devourer-controlled space, a massive ship signature pulsed. That is their queen, their central intelligence, the brain that coordinates everything. It is protected by thousands of ships, the Bracken general observed. How do we reach it? Jiwoo's smile widened. The same way humanity has won every impossible battle in our history, with a plan so crazy that no rational mind would expect it. The plan was insane. Every council military advisor said so. Even the human commanders looked uncertain when Jiwoo explained it. We are going to surrender, she said calmly. The battle room erupted in protests. Selrix stood from her seat. Surrender? After all we have fought for? Not really, Jiwoo clarified. We are going to make them think we are surrendering. Then we are going to destroy them. She pulled up the tactical display. The Devourer hive mind is here, protected by 3,000 ships. We cannot fight through that. So we will not try. Instead, we will use their own nature against them. Archon Vel studied the plan. You want to offer yourself as bait? The Devourers consume civilizations, Jiwoo said. They do not just destroy, they absorb. Technology, resources, biological data. When a species surrenders, they bring their best ships, their leaders, their most valuable assets. The Devourers allow this because it gives them more to consume. You want them to bring you to the hive mind, the Bracken general realized. Exactly, Jiwoo confirmed. A fleet of council ships, including human vessels, will broadcast surrender. We will be escorted to the central hive for processing. Once inside their formation, she pressed a button. The display showed the attack pattern. We detonate everything at once. The room went silent. This is a suicide mission, Selrix said quietly. Yes, Jiwoo agreed, which is why I will lead it personally. No one will be ordered to come, only volunteers. Every human captain in the fleet volunteered within an hour. So did representatives from every council species. The Bracken General himself requested a place on the mission. The Torgathi sent 3 ships, the Keltharn sent 5. In total, 87 vessels prepared for the final strike. Min Jun stood with Jiwoo on the bridge of the HSNS Incheon as the fleet made ready. "You know this will probably kill everyone aboard these ships," he said. "I know," Jiwoo replied, "but that is the price of victory. Humanity learned a long time ago that some battles require sacrifice. The council species are learning it now. They think we are crazy." "We are crazy," Jiwoo smiled. "But we are also right. This will work." The surrender fleet broadcast on all channels. They powered down weapons. They transmitted detailed information about their technology, their resources, their worlds. Everything the Devourers would want to consume. The response came within hours. Devourer ships surrounded the surrender fleet and began escorting them deeper into enemy territory, toward the hive mind. It took 2 days to reach the central ship. It was massive, 10 times larger than any vessel in the galaxy. A living structure grown from the resources of dead worlds and extinct species. The surrender fleet was brought into a holding formation near the hive mind, exactly where Jiwoo wanted them. "All ships," she broadcast on encrypted channels, "prepare for Operation Thermopylae. Set all reactors to overload. Arm all weapons. Evacuate all non-essential personnel to escape pods." Throughout the fleet, crews worked quickly. They set antimatter reactors to cascade failure. They primed every missile and torpedo. They filled their ships with every explosive they could carry. The Devourers did not notice. Why would they? These ships had surrendered. They were defeated. They were resources to be processed. "Escape pods away," each ship reported. Small craft launched in all directions, quickly putting distance between themselves and the fleet. Jiwoo watched her crew evacuate. She had ordered them to go, but she stayed on the bridge. Someone had to ensure the detonation sequence worked perfectly. "Admiral," her tactical officer said. He had refused to leave. "It has been an honor." "The honor is mine," Jiwoo replied. "Tell me, do you know why this operation is called Thermopylae? A human battle?" 300 Spartans held a pass against an army of thousands, Jiwoo explained. "They knew they would die. They went anyway, because some things are worth dying for." She looked at the hive mind on her display, so large, so powerful, so confident. "Today, we teach the Devourers what humanity learned at Thermopylae, that killing your enemy is good, but making them fear you forever is better." She activated the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Admiral Jiwoo. Our species have stood apart for thousands of years. Today, we stand together. Whatever happens next, know that the galaxy will remember this moment. They will remember that we chose to fight instead of flee, that we sacrificed so others could live." Her hand hovered over the detonation control. "For the Council, for our worlds, for every civilization that came before us and every one that will come after. Let's show these bastards why you don't fight humans in a war of survival." She pressed the button. 87 ships exploded simultaneously. Each one a directed antimatter explosion calibrated to focus its energy toward the hive mind. The combined force was equivalent to a supernova compressed into a single point. The hive mind's shields held for exactly 3 seconds. Then they collapsed. The ship itself tore apart as chain reactions spread through its structure, and across the entire Devourer fleet, ships went silent. Without the hive mind's coordination, they were just metal and energy. No intelligence, no tactics, no adaptation. The remaining council forces, waiting at the edge of the system, pounced. It was not a battle. It was cleanup. Min Jun watched from the council station as the last Devourer vessel was destroyed. Around him, ambassadors from every species stood in silence. Some wept, some cheered. All understood what had just happened. Humanity had saved the galaxy, and it had cost them their finest admiral and thousands of volunteers. 3 days later, the escape pods were recovered. Every crew member who had evacuated survived. They had made it far enough from the blast radius. But Admiral Jiwoo was gone. Her tactical officer was gone. The volunteers who stayed to ensure the plan worked were gone. The council held a memorial service that lasted a full day. Representatives from every species spoke. They told stories of the battles, of the tactics they had learned, of the humans who had appeared from nowhere to save a galaxy that had mocked them. When it was Min Jun's turn to speak, he walked to the center of the chamber and looked at the assembled council. 300 years ago, humanity joined the Galactic Council, he began. We came in peace because we wanted peace. We hid our warrior nature because we thought that part of us was something to be ashamed of, something left behind. He paused, looking at each species in turn. But Admiral Jiwoo taught us something important. Being a warrior is not about wanting war. It is about being ready for it. It is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. It is about standing up when standing up might cost you everything. Humanity did not want this war, Min Jun continued. We hoped we would never need the fleet we built, the weapons we designed, the tactics we perfected. But we prepared anyway. And when the moment came, we were ready. He gestured to the star map showing the entire galaxy, now free of the Devourer threat. The Council once asked me why humanity's legends existed. Why we remembered our wars. Why we honored our warriors. Min Jun's voice grew stronger. It is because we know that peace is precious, so precious that it must be defended, and sometimes defense requires sacrifice. The Council voted that same day. Humanity was granted full military sovereignty, the right to maintain their fleet, to develop their weapons, to train their soldiers. But more than that, humanity was asked to share their knowledge, to teach other species the art of survival, to ensure that if another threat ever came, the galaxy would be ready. Admiral Jiwoo's flagship, the HSNS Incheon, was recovered and rebuilt. It became a memorial and a museum, a reminder of the day humanity stepped from the shadows. On its bridge, a plaque was installed with Jiwoo's final words. Visitors from every species came to read it. We chose to fight instead of flee. We sacrificed so others could live. Years later, a young human officer stood on that bridge during a school visit. She asked the historian guide a question. Why did they volunteer? They knew they would probably die? The historian, a Torgathi who had served under Jiwoo, looked at the girl. Because they were human, and humans understand something that took the rest of the galaxy a war to learn. What is that? That the best warriors are not those who love battle. They are those who love peace enough to die protecting it. The human fleet remained in the shadows after the war, not hiding, but watching, ready. The galaxy had learned to respect humanity's legends, and humanity had learned that sometimes legends must become real to remind the universe why they exist in the first place. The stars remained peaceful, but now everyone knew why.